Tiger fans, it's time to look at the round 5 changes for this week against Fremantle. We've got 3 changes after we had the extended bench finally been trimmed back to just the 3. So heading out this week, Sammy Lawler with a hip complaints. I think it sounded like it was a bit of hip soreness from the Brisbane game. So hopefully, just a week off to freshen up on that one. Harry Armstrong, unfortunately, as the news broke yesterday from the footy department, that a 12-week hamstring injury, which is horrible news for Harry, given that he was coming off a couple of pretty good games, kicking a couple of goals, getting some form, feeling good about himself. So just really unfortunate timing for Harry. So hopefully he gets better soon. And Caleb Smith has been omitted as well, which I don't know if it's a little bit hard done, but I didn't think he did too much wrong last game, but maybe they want him to get a bit more of an extended run in the VFL. I'm not sure what the method behind it is there, although I think a little bit of it might be to do with who was coming in, to be honest. So speaking of the ins, Maurice Rioli is coming in, which I thought was really interesting. He's actually been named on the field as well, so that would usually indicate he's starting on the ground, or at the minimum he's not going to be sub. He only had about 2 or 3 disposals last week. He kicked the first goal of the game in the VFL. He actually looked really good in the first 5 or 6 minutes, to be honest. And then he got subbed off at halftime as he was the carryover player for the AFL. So that was, I suppose that part's fine. But besides the first goal, he didn't really do a lot else, which is interesting. The week before, I think he was also the carryover player again. So I don't know, like when I compare Maurice Rioli and his body of work in the last 3 or 4 weeks compared to someone like Jasper Alger, for example, who could have had 5 goals in the VFL had he kicked straight, had 12 or 13 disposals, some marks, some clearances, and that's kind of been fairly consistent for him for the last month. I just feel like that Jasper was maybe a little bit ahead in terms of body of work. So I'm really interested to see how Morris goes, and I'm a Morris fan, right? So I want him to do well. But yeah, I didn't think he would be the first one back in, to be honest. But hopefully he brings that tackling pressure. Hopefully he brings that perceived pressure to opposition to make him turn the ball over. And I actually remember that it was last year, or the year before, in 2023, when our pressure was struggling. There was actually a game where we finally brought Morris in, and I think it might have been Ryan Mansell at the same time. And it was from that moment on, our pressure actually changed. Our pressure rating went through the roof. So hopefully the same thing happens again against Fremantle. He just needs to chase. And I don't think it's going to happen in this game because of how soon he's come back in, but I would love to see some midfield minutes as well. Just to add some pace and some leg speed into the guts. Again, I don't think it'll happen this week just because he's only played a half for the last couple of games. But Maurice Rioli back in. Jonty Faull in for his debut. Super excited for Jonty Faull. I've mentioned him a couple of times in videos that he just loves to smash packs. And it's going to be so fun to watch in many years to come. The beauty about Jonty is if he doesn't mark the ball himself, he almost every single time makes sure his opponent doesn't mark the ball, which is exactly what you need, right? So at least they're not going to get intercept marks. So he could actually play a really crucial role on someone like a Luke Ryan, for example, who's a very good intercept marker. Alex Pearce, a very good marker of the ball as well. So Jonty Faull might have his work cut out for him in his first game, but very good to see him get a chance. And I know Grok's been all over Jonty Faull since about mid last year. So he's like a proud father seeing his kid play for the first time. So very excited for Jonty Faull. And Hugo Ralphsmith makes his way in as well. I'm really happy with this one. Hugo played his first game back in the VFL last week, clocked up some serious kilometres on the GPS, was maybe a little bit rusty in terms of finding touch and finding form. To be expected, though. He didn't play bad by any stretch. I just think from a pace perspective, he's desperately needed back in the side, whether it's running down the wing, whether it's running off halfback and breaking the lines on counter-attack, or whether it's chasing down opposition. It's no secret that we have a bit of a need for speed, and Hugo gives us that. So I'm really happy with this inclusion, and hopefully he can hit the ground running, because we're going to need it, because Freo have got some really good outside runners, and it honestly scares me a little bit with the players they've got in that area that could get a hold of us. So I think Hugo's going to play a big part, and I think he's going to need to clock up some pretty big GPS numbers to be helping us out in all facets of the game. So they are the 3 changes for this week. Lawler out, Armstrong out, Smith out, in Rioli, Faull, Ralphsmith. So that last thing to try and decipher is who the sub will be. So listed on the interchange bench so far, according to the AFL website, is Jacob Blight, Hugo Ralphsmith, James Trezise, who actually was on the field in the extended squad and is now on the bench. Thompson Dow, who was also on the field in the extended squad, now on the bench, I think, and Jacob Bauer. I don't think it's going to be Jacob Blight because he's going to play as the backup ruckman, so that won't be him. I don't think it'll be Hugo Ralphsmith. I kind of hope it's not Trezise, coming off arguably a career best game for him. I'm almost certain it won't be Thompson Dow, given that he's in the top 3 for defensive pressure acts and tackles in the club this year. So that kind of almost by default leaves it to be Jacob Bauer, which is interesting because he was sub last week, and maybe we kind of cap it at 2 times you can be sub before you got to then play a full game. I don't really quite understand the logic of having a mid to tall forward as your sub, though. It's a bit of an interesting one, isn't it? Like, you'd almost rather a Caleb Smith be sub, or someone with a bit of speed and foot skill. But yeah, I feel like out of that, if I'm picking out of that list to be sub, I'm picking Jacob Bauer to be sub. But yeah, so I mean, interesting to see what the club do there. I just hope it's not Trezise. I'd be really bummed if it was him. Yeah, like I said, just on the back of a couple of good games. Maybe it is Hugo, though, just because he's coming back in from an injury. They want to ease him in. I kind of feel like we need him there for longer, though. And I think his VFL numbers prove that he can run out the game. So hopefully that's enough for him to play full minutes. But we'll wait and see. But anyway, they are the changes for this week. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Are you happy with the ins and the outs? Would you make any other changes if it was up to you? We've got Campbell Gray as an emergency, which is good. Samson Ryan and Caleb Smith. So yeah, we've gone 2 talls there, which is interesting. But yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. And a reminder, we are going to do a live watch-along for the Fremantle game. And also the VFL game against the Academy kids is happening at about 1:30 on Sunday, so while the main game's on. So we'll try and keep you updated across both of those during the live show. So if you want to watch along, feel free to keep an eye out for the show kicking off but just before the Freo game. And we will see you there. If not, we'll see you on Monday night for our live show. Until the next one, go Tigers.